Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatir uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. What is the shloka? .58 Canto 10. Samashitaye padapallavaplavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare bhavam bhutirvatsa padam param padam 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 yat vipadam natesham. Please repeat. Samashitaye padapallavaplavam Mahatpadam punya yasho murare Bhavam buddhirvatsa padam param padam 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 yat vipadam natesham. Samashitaha, having taken shelter of. Ye, those who, pada, of the feet, pallava, like flower buds, plavam, which are a boat, mahat, of the total material creation, or of the great souls, padam, the shelter, punya, supremely pious, yashaha, whose fame, mura are, of the enemy of the demon mura, bhava, of the material existence, ambudihi, the ocean, vatsapadam, the hoof print of a calf, parampadam, the supreme abode, vaikunta, padam padam, at every step, yet, where, vipadam, of material miseries, na, none, Desham, of for them. Translation: for those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoof print. Their goal is Parampadam, Vaikunta, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Purport: this translation is taken from Srila Prabhupada's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 51. According to Srila Sridhara Swami, this verse summarizes the knowledge presented in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as pallava, flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the word pallava also indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are just like desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narada, who are themselves the great shelter for the conditioned souls in this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Thus it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifested himself as all the young boys and calves of Vrindavana, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, and being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथन्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We are reading from Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. In his conclusion, Shukadeva Goswami is mentioning here, Samashitaye padapad pallava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare. Taking shelter of the Lord is the conclusion. Bhavam budir vatsapadam param padam 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 yat vipadam natesham. The advantage of taking shelter of the Lord. What does it mean? The Bhagavatam has got characteristics. It's got 10 characteristics. And those 10 characteristics, we can see Ashraya, Nirodho Muktirashraya, the last portion. It says, Atra sargo visargascha sthanam poshanam utayah. In this way, it explains what all a Purana is characterized by. And then it speaks ultimately of Muktirashraya, Ashraya, taking shelter. And that is the primary quality. That is the great aspect of Bhagavatam. How you can take shelter of the Lord. And how everything happens to you if you take complete shelter of the Lord. Everywhere what you are seeing is great devotees of the Lord taking shelter of the Lord. How they take shelter under various situations and circumstances. Here Brahma is finally taking shelter of the Lord. Even Brahma can be in a position where he has not taken shelter of the Lord. And he is taking shelter of the Lord by coming and surrendering and offering his prayers, that he has made a big mistake by thinking that he can test the powers of the Lord. So this is an amazing aspect of the Bhagavatam, where I am just discussing the end of it. Somehow they have given me the last shloka, the katha is not involved. Only philosophy only. So I am just speaking on the philosophy of it. That Brahma is having taken shelter of the Lord, conclusively taken shelter. Of course, he is the most intelligent human being, intelligent being in this world. But the fact that he could not take complete shelter of the Lord, it's very interesting to note. That he has learnt that Krishna is a complete shelter from this pastime. Brahma Vimohana Leela. That he got bewildered and he tested Krishna. And Krishna very patiently taught him a lesson. Very sophisticatedly he taught him. Because Brahma is also a very sophisticated person. He taught Indra also in a little less sophisticated way. When Indra, rained showers and thunder and lightning and on Govardhan, and he took everybody under shelter, and finally he came to meet with Krishna. At that time, Krishna's remark to Indra in Vrindavana was, don't be so childish. Don't act like this. I mean, he just gave a different type of instruction. But to Brahma, he gave a very sophisticated instruction. Mostly to Brahma, he didn't even speak much. He didn't have to speak much. He didn't really speak much. So that's very interesting that Brahma took complete shelter of Krishna, because inside his heart was a wonderful realization of how I have wronged. And he gave an amazing understanding. Though the Bhagavatam and the great Acharyas do say that by Krishna's internal energy this occurred and Brahma got bewildered, the real point is that Brahma had to get some understanding of what complete shelter is. And that instance was taken by Krishna, and he had his private lesson, taking complete shelter of the Lord. That he did. He finally completely surrendered to the Lord. So Brahma's story is very wonderful. That and the story goes on. It's from Aghasura's pastime, and after that this pastime happening. There's a very big connotation to it. But the conclusion here, Samashitaye Padapallava Plavam, that ultimately Vasudevam Sarvamiti, that everything lands up with Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna. That's the ultimate purpose. And if you, as long as you don't do that, you will always be having some trouble. And in the Bhagavatam describes all sorts of people taking shelter of Krishna in all sorts of situations. Brahma is the most intelligent person in the whole universe. He is taking shelter. A very intelligent person taking shelter. Then you have a demon like Bali concluding that let's Atmanivedanam and taking shelter of the Lord. Then you have a prostitute called Pingala described in the 11th chapter and the 11th canto. She is taking shelter of the Lord. Sukham Shushwapa Pingala. After taking shelter, she slept very nicely that day, it's mentioned. She decided that all this is wrong because I'm not taking shelter of the Lord. So it is not that only very exalted devotees are taking shelter of the Lord. Everybody is getting their lesson on how you should take shelter of the Lord. And they do it by the mercy of the Lord. They land up doing it in different situation and circumstance. That is the amazing thing. That is the amazing thing. The realization that they get is by the mercy of the Lord, and they surrender to the Lord. And that situation occurs differently in different places at different times. Dhruva also took shelter of the Lord. After he saw the form of the Lord, he took shelter, means he gave up his desire for occupying the throne. All that is nothing compared to what I got. Right? Swamim kritartho asmin varam na yache. I don't want any boon after seeing you. So silly that I even desired any of these things. Taking shelter of you is the greatest boon. Completely peaceful. Yayatma suprasiddhati. We must understand what it means. You have no more concerns of any type. And you are simply interested in reveling in devotion. There's no question of thinking about anything else. So shelter of the Lord, Ashraya, is a very important topic in the Bhagavatam. And for those people who have taken shelter, Samashita ye padapallava plavam. Ashrita means having taken shelter of. Samashrita means having fully taken shelter of, 100%. Of the lotus feet of the Lord. This is a very interesting thing. Sometimes we don't connect and relate with this idea of surrendering and taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. What does it mean? These are all things very difficult to understand if you start questioning. For many of them, that is why when you rationally question, what do you mean lotus feet and taking shelter of the lotus feet? I mean, very difficult to understand for most people. So, the beautiful song of the Vaishnavacharyas, you have this. That Nityananda's lotus feet is Satya, is truth. If you take shelter. It is truth. It exists like that. That if you take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, the gopis are talking about it. In morning you are chanting Gopika Geetam. In many places they are just talking about the lotus feet of the Lord. How taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord is primary and supreme. And your lotus feet, pinkish hue, Prabhupada is saying in the purport. Dina parikshaye neelakuntalair vanaruhananam bibradhavratam ghanarajasvalam dharshayana muhur manisina smaran virayachasi. They are describing how you are coming back from the forest and your face looks so beautiful, covered with dust. Your hair is covered with dust, beautiful locks of hair on your face. And our lust is aroused by looking at you. They're talking about a 16-year-old boy. We can say something. This is just a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 8-year-old boy. And they're saying lust is aroused in us when we see you. So you must understand, it is not ordinary lust. It is not about ordinary lust. He's an 8-year-old boy coming, flowing his flute and coming. So this is of a high quality relationship. And there they are saying, what is that? The next shloka states that Dinaparikshaye, no, what is that shloka that says that your feet are Silatranankurai Siddhati Naha. What is the shloka? Dinaparikshaye Neelakuntalair. No, the other one I am talking about, where speak about their feet. What is it? Forget that beginning of the shloka. In the Gopika Geetam, the beginning of that shloka, it says that you go every day to the forest and your tender feet are affected by stones and spikes and thorns, and that shakes our heart very much. That Krishna's feet is very soft, very tender, pinkish. Prabhupada is saying a pinkish hue and extremely soft. And when the soft feet get touched by spikes and dust and thorns and stones, it will hurt Krishna, no? So the gopis are so much absorbed in Krishna. When he's going to the forest, this is what they are thinking. What will happen to your feet? This will happen to your feet, because he did not have footwear. And there is a big story about how Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj decided to give him footwear and umbrella, because it's very sunny and you must wear footwear. Right? You got the shloka? No, you didn't get it. No, not that. That is all about lotus feet. There's lots about lotus feet. I'm talking about when you go to the forest, your feet will be poked by Shilatrinang Kurai Siddhati Tinaha Kalilata Manaha Kantagachati. Which shloka is that? Starts with what? Chalati Yadvrajat Charayan Pashun Nalina Sundaram Natate Padam Shilatrinang Kurai Siddhati Tinaha Kalilata Mana Kantagachati. That every day you go to the forest, and at that time your lotus feet will get hurt by all these things. We think about that and feel very bad. Think of that and feel very difficult. How are you doing it? Won't your feet hurt? In this way they are thinking about the lotus feet of Krishna, and they are also expressing in many places, keep your lotus feet on my breast, please keep your hand on my head, please, the lotus feet of yours that provide shelter for everybody, please. Like that they keep on talking about. Completely in love with Krishna. Being in love with the absolute truth is everybody's right. And to what extent you can be in love with the absolute truth is revealed by the gopis, the topmost extent of love. And even in that extent of love, in these days, if you talk about bhakti, love, God, personality and all that, because they are all completely immersed in rationalizations, intelligent understanding, and everything of the head, brain. Now they're telling consciousness is situated in the brain, and by brain activity and this thing we can find out which is where, and life comes from consciousness comes from the brain. So all of their work is about rationalizing, talking, analyzing and finding out the truth. That is why people become so hard-hearted. The more you try to use your intelligence, the more you try to deal with matter, the more you try to rationalize, the more hard your heart becomes. It is very difficult for you to express love to anybody, leave alone God. All the time you express love and all is very artificial. You don't feelingly do it. You lost the capacity to do it. The nature of this world is people filled with so much material desires and calculative, manipulative exercises and activities that they do. In the process of doing that, they erode their complete spiritual personality. They lose their ability to express love for the Lord, and they lose their ability to express love for anybody else. They lose their ability to personalize a relationship. They lose their ability to even look at the energy of the Lord in a personal way. They exploit everything for themselves. The whole world is facing problem because all the natural resources are exploited by this one human being. Out of the 84 lakh species, there's one species, very deadly species. He spoils everything because he cannot relate through the heart. Only when you relate in love through the heart can you awaken your spiritual personality. Can you really awaken your personality itself? Otherwise it's Maya who dictates you here. When you awaken your real personality out of love for Krishna, then you can understand that I am in control of myself. That is when you really understand that I am in control of myself. Till then, you only boast about what you did, whereas actually you never did it. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. This is the nature of people, those who boast that I can do this, I am good at this, I did that. They are all people filled with their own ideas about themselves. It is rarely that they can understand. But Gopi is addressing, this is complete shelter. The gopis are, not only just sheltered, but on top of being sheltered, worshipping Krishna and reciprocating with Krishna in love. That is the pinnacle of what happens to you when you are sheltered by the Lord. First you must get sheltered, and then only all these things can start. But what the gopis pastime you hear in the Gopika Geetam, when they talk about the lotus feet of the Lord, that is in complete shelter of the Lord. In complete shelter of the same way, here Shukadeva Goswami is trying to make us understand, taking shelter of Krishna is so wonderful, so healthy. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki. Everything wonderful happens to you. In other words, it's of the greatest value. The lotus feet of the Lord is of greatest value. For devotees of the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord is of greatest value. For people in this world, money is of value. They take shelter of money. Money is honey. Prahalad Maharaj said, money is the honey. Everybody is working for that, because with money you can get sense gratification. Why is money the honey? Because it provides you sense gratification. If you collect a lot of money and you don't know how to have sense gratification with it, you become frustrated. Some people simply collect money and become frustrated because they don't know how to spend it. They don't know how to use it for gratification. Then why are you making money at all? They ask this question, then why are we making money at all? Why am I doing what I am doing? Who is pushing me to do? If you don't ask all these questions, you'll end up becoming a very powerful instrument of Maya. She uses you. Don't ask, keep doing. But when devotees start asking questions, why am I doing whatever I am doing? What is the ultimate purpose of it? Then you understand that when you talk about shelter of the Lord and shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, what is the meaning of that? What is the value of that? What is the value of that? We must understand very carefully. So, the Lord's lotus feet and himself are non-different. It means Krishna is absolute, Sachittananda Vigraha. And the lotus feet of the Lord means, bowing down to the lotus feet of the Lord means you have to be completely subjugated, humble and full acceptance of the authority of the Lord in relationship with the Lord. That I have nothing for myself. I have no, thing that I hold back. Completely invested in you. You may do what you want with me. Like the Sikshashtakam, Matprana Natastu Saiva Naparaha. I don't know anybody else but you. If you want, you can embrace me. You can, out of love, or you can hit me, kick me, and you can even kill me. It's up to you. I am totally surrendered to you. I don't know anybody else but you. That is the situation of all these devotees. We are singing the Damodarashtakam every day. Mother Yashoda is completely sold out to Krishna. And it is just that it is in the role of a mother that she is reciprocating with the absolute truth. But she is totally, completely sold out to Krishna. But Krishna is enjoying because she is completely surrendered to Krishna and because she is fully absorbed in Krishna, full of love of Krishna. Krishna is playing with her a wonderful pastime. He's playing with her wonderful. He's becoming afraid. He's running in fear. He's stealing. He is, doing all things which are contrary to God. Everything that is contrary to being God. Because it makes you bewildered. If he is God, why is he doing all these things? And that is how people get bewildered. I can't believe all these things. Yes, you cannot, because you think through your head. You think through your head. Devotees feel through the heart. Feel through the heart and take these pastimes of the Lord through the ears, and it touches their heart. Yes, it is very much possible. Because of love for Krishna, there is no question of faith and all that. They don't have problem with faith at all. Not have any problem. Because we are always subjecting our faith to rationality. Is it proper to have faith in this person? Everywhere it is about trust. The other day, I was very amused to see that in my Mac, the thing comes up when I connect my iPhone, and comes up, trust or not trust this computer. I have to choose, I trust, I don't trust this computer. Should I connect? Do you trust or you don't trust? Oh, what a big word they are using. This computer can be trusted by me. There may be some viral attack from that. There may be somebody trying to steal your data or all that. Do you trust this computer? Oh. Everything is about trust. Everything is about trust. And people lack trust. They simply cannot put their trust in anybody or anything for that matter. It's extremely difficult for them to put trust. Even in their own kith and kin, even in their own wife and husband and children and father and mother, they can't put faith. The way material world is situated, how can you take shelter of anybody? That's why the Bhagavatam says they are all infallible, they are all fallible soldiers. You put faith in them, definitely your faith will go. Why? They'll die one day. Even if they are the best of people, they'll die. It is designed for making your faith go. So it's very amazing that you cannot put faith in anybody in this world. What to speak of calling you a faith-based organization? I don't have faith in you. Why do you call me a faith-based organization? I have faith only in Krishna. I don't have faith in you, in your gadgets, in your government, in your politics, in your economics. In none of these things I have faith actually. I am not faith-based. I am based in reality. It's not just ordinary faith. It's not blind faith. I have faith in Krishna, the supreme absolute truth, the foundational principle. Mattah parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. He made this statement and he boldly makes this statement. He very boldly makes a statement. And he's proving it to Arjuna by showing the Vishwarupa. He has done everything there. And although you may do many things in this world, I can still never trust you. This is the nature of this world. Very difficult for people to trust each other. So Prabhupada said our organization is based on love and trust. And love and trust. So depending on Krishna is highest form of faith, highest form of rationality, and highest form of shelter. That is the meaning that he's saying, Vatsa padam param padam 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 yat vipadam natesham. Very beautiful shloka. We can keep talking about it. He's saying that for a person who has imposed his faith and taken shelter of Krishna, all the things in this world that are problematic are just like a small hoof print filled with water. Morning I was going for a walk, and many places people have stepped over and there are small puddles and small footprints of many people, and some of them have slid, and you can see that footprint also is taking away, and in all of them water is held. So a vatsa means a small calf's hoof print. In that also there is water. Very easily we cross over it. So it says for such a person all the things in this world become like this, you can just cross over. Because why? He has put faith in the Lord. He has taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. And for him, padam padam yat vipadam natesham. Every step there is danger for people in this world because of their own untrustworthiness. They cannot be trusted and they don't trust anybody. This is a very toxic atmosphere in this world. Very difficult to trust somebody else. And we work on trust. And when the trust is broken, you become highly disappointed. When somebody very close to you, whom you depend on very much, breaks your trust in him, everything gets broken for you. You become very highly disappointed. You become very highly disturbed. And people just, give up life. Because trust is a high level security for you. Because of trust in somebody, you're getting security in life. Security is very important. Krishna is offering the highest security. You have faith in me, I reciprocate with you. Yayata mam prapadyante tang stathaiva bhajamyaham. I will reciprocate with you according to what faith you put in me. So the shloka says, if you put faith in Krishna, samashita ye padapallava plavam punya yasho murare. If you put faith and if you worship Krishna, you will find the greatest benefit. You will find the greatest benefit. So it's not ordinary that the gopis are singing. You can just dismiss it as religious and some sentimental feeling and stupid blind faith, how all these things are going to work in your life. When people with rationality and using their intelligence become very proud about themselves, they use their intelligence. And if you see the history of the world, you will see at one point of time everything was running by God-centered civilization and faith in God and the words of God and the people who represent God and all that. And the church, if you take the Christian religion, Church was like the highest authority. Anything the church said, anything the Pope said, believe it. Ipse dixit. He himself has said it. Believe it completely. Don't have to ask any questions. That was the type of thing those days in the Western history. And then slowly they found that these persons are persons who are actually doing and asking us to believe in things which are not correct. How is it possible? That famous Copernicus incident of Copernicus saying that Earth is not the center, Sun is the center of the whole planetary system. And he went against the church. The church said Earth is the center and everything is moving around us. And we are the boss, we are the biggest planet and we are everything. And so that doesn't, from my observations, I don't see it like that, from my calculations. I am just saying that from my observations, calculations, the sun is the center. Earth is moving around the sun. He had this understanding and he was very convinced. You must go back in time and see, he is also a Christian. You must understand, he also goes to church. All of them are, believers of God and everything. The earlier scientists, Newton, Copernicus, Galileo, all of them are believers. But their rationality tells them, but why you are saying this, it is wrong. They're in a very difficult situation. That my head, my thinking and my observation and my calculation and my rationality and my intelligence and my education tells me, you are wrong. So the first time they encountered that what the person whom I have faith in is saying is wrong. But they are not able to say it because they are surrounded by people who all have faith in them. Very suppressed. But he is known to have said it. I can't keep this anymore. He is known to have said it. And he was interrogated publicly in the church. Everybody, how dare? Only one person thinking differently. You can imagine his situation. And he was not able to agree. And he finally, even though he was interrogated, is known to have said, although that is like this, still the earth is not in the center. He was forced to agree. Then he said, even then I say this. He was, I think he was executed or imprisoned and all that. A lot of things happened to him. But he was correct. Actually, he was correct. And then came everybody's untrustworthiness in the church, especially educated people. And many people think like Copernicus, but they're not talking. All those people also felt, this is, he's not an unintelligent idiot. He's a very intelligent person. So it became like, faith against reason. Okay. And then came all these great people like Descartes and everybody. And they all said rationalization and using your mind, that don't believe all these things. All religion is bunkum. Religion went down. Okay, it's called the age of reason in history, in Western history, the age of reason. And Descartes is the father of all these things. So don't believe all this. Believe your thinking, clear thinking. Cargito ergo sum. I exist because I know myself, like that. So you see, it became the age of reason and everything is based on reason. And they start believing in all the edicts and all the great sayings of the scripture and God and the church and the holy man, everything finished. Then came Industrial Revolution. We are great, look at mankind, what it's doing to the world. And all sorts of things they did. They just completely spoiled the resources of this planet. And today, 2022, if you go, they have started turning around and thinking we made a mistake. We made a mistake in only using reason. Why? We have screwed up the whole planet. It's all getting hotter. The planet has become 1 degree hotter in the past 60 years. I mean, over a long period of time. In the past 60 years, it has risen a lot by nearly 0.6 degrees centigrade. And if it goes like this, it will become uninhabitable. And it is all because of human beings, because of the industrial this thing. And that is the peak of reasoning. We know what to do. Go ahead, do this. Discovery and inventions and this and that and everything. Now they started thinking, maybe rationalization and reasoning alone is wrong. Maybe somewhere something missed out of us. Maybe we should have faith in other elements and other things apart from this. Started turning around. Also when they turn around also, they still have their own notions about what it should be. So nobody has no faith even in the government, in all these leaders and everybody, because you screwed up the whole, based on rationalization and secularism and man can do it, and now you screwed up the planet also. So you don't have faith in you also. Earlier you said don't have faith in God and religion, have faith in your own brain and intelligence. Now in your own brain and intelligence you screwed up the whole planet and the governance and structure, everything is stuck up. Whom do I have faith in? Whom do I have faith in? I don't have faith in myself also. Very poor condition. In comes the Bhagavatam and tells you, your biggest mistake you forgot about putting faith in God, in Krishna, in the supreme absolute truth. If you had done that, you know how to navigate through all these things. It's not that faith in this or faith in that. Both are materialistic things. And both of them are equally bad actually. Both are equally bad. That's why the Bhagavatam speaks about supreme faith in the supreme personality of Godhead. Janmadyasya yataha anvayad itaratas chartesh abhigyaswarat tene brahma hridayadi kavaye muhyanti yat surayah. From the heart of Brahma he spoke this truth to Brahma. And Brahma lands up like this. Brahma Vimohana Leela. Even he from whose heart Krishna speaks can be subjected to the illusion of this world. What to speak of you and me? What to speak of you and me? So, if you examine very deeply, having faith in Krishna is of highest value. If materially, spiritually, devotionally, if you examine these statements, you will see they are of highest value. So everybody should be taught to put their faith in the Supreme Personality of God at Krishna. That is of greatest value, it will help them the most. This is the advice of Prahlad Maharaj, Kaumaram Acharat Prajna. Everybody should be taught about who is God and how He relates with you and how you can relate with Him right from when they are very young. It's not about religion. It's about the truth. Religion comes after. Nobody can be disconnected with the supreme absolute truth. If you remain disconnected, you're gone. You're gone. So we are not just preaching about religion. We are talking about faith in the absolute truth. The Bhagavad Gita speaks about the reality. Having faith in the reality, having faith in the absolute truth is necessary for simply even being capable of doing anything material. You need to have faith in the absolute. Bhakti Yoga is about that. Bhakti Yoga is about connecting with your Supreme Father. And He is described here. His lotus feet is described. That's why it is mentioned Nityanandir, Angri, Pada, Satya, that the Lord's lotus feet are truth. You're taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. Of course, it's a physical description of His lotus feet. You have put His lotus feet here, you can see, for all of us to meditate. Got 19 wonderful Chinna marks on the left and on the right feet. 19 different marks on His feet. And they look very beautiful, extremely beautiful. Anybody who meditates on the lotus feet of the Lord can become filled with devotion to the Lord and become emotionally moved by devotion to the Lord. Just like the gopis are thinking about. So these are not ordinary statements. These are not simply falling in love with somebody and you like something material in this world and after some time you're going to dislike it. It's not like that. This is absolute. The Lord's lotus feet are absolute and truth, full absolute truth. And therefore if you invest in that, it will never be a loss. There is no question of you going back from it. There's no question of you going back from it. So it says here, it is victorious. It is the most successful thing. Samasitaye padapallava plavam punya yasho murare bhavambutir vatsappadam parampadam. Parampadam, the supreme destination, Krishna, is being described here. That's why the gopis are speaking the glories of the Lord's lotus feet. Akrura came and saw the lotus imprints in Vrindavan. While he came with his chariot, he saw that on the surface of the earth in Vrindavan. And he immediately got down and paid his obeisances and rolled in the dust of Vrindavan and was in ecstasy, rolling in the dust of Vrindavan, thinking of the Lord's lotus feet, directly in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord. Here you see gopis speaking about the lotus feet of the Lord. And here you see Shukadeva Goswami speaking about the greatness of the lotus feet of the Lord. We worship the lotus feet of the Lord. And by taking shelter, Lord Chaitanya told us how to take shelter. You see, Ayinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Va Bishame Bhavam Budau Kripaya Tavapada Pankaja Stita Dhuli Sadrisham Vichintaya. That although I am disconnected, and I did some stupid things, if you can place me as Stita Dhuli, Dhuli means small particle, as an atom at your lotus feet, everything is achieved for me. I become very happy. In this way, the glories of taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet is mentioned. And all great devotees took shelter. Shelter of Krishna's lotus feet is real. It is not fictitious. It is not some, theory put forward by some fanatic people. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam by the greatest of all great saints, thinkers and intellectuals and everybody together. Shukadeva Goswami is mentioning Samahashitaye Padapallava Plavam, taking shelter of the beautiful lotus feet of the Lord. This is a process. That is why we worship the Lord and we sincerely pray to Krishna. In your spiritual exercise of love for Krishna, when we do that, we awaken to become the person we are supposed to be. And at that time, we can have value for the lotus feet of the Lord. Otherwise, we are trying hard sometimes, but not executing our surrender. And therefore, we accept theoretically, knowledgeably, but we are not able to ingest it in us. Om Tat Sat. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki.